So this is the trash can that I received. It has our laboratory number. It has our exhibit number as well as my initials. This is the sticker that was on the side of the trash can. It also contains the exhibit number and my initials. And these are pieces of the rim of the trash can that I removed to be able to process better.
Okay. So at the time that you received the trash can there at the lab, the pieces that you just held up, they were
actually attached. Yes, it was a full trash can with those pieces of the rim attached to it.
Okay. You removed them. They were not broken or anything like that. Is that
No,
correct?
they were not.
And you mentioned you held up a sticker. Is that like a sticker that would come from the manufacturer?
Yes,
that was on there.
Yes, it was on the side of the trash can. It's a Sterilite sticker, manufacturer of the trash can.
Okay. And you removed that as well?
I did.
Okay. All right, Agent Hoover, did you attempt to develop any latent prints off of that particular item, the trash can?
I did.
And if you would kind of walk us through what your approach to analyzing that piece of evidence was.
May I refer to my notes, Your Honor? Is that all right?
Yes.
Thank you. On that trash can, I did pretty much a full process of just about everything that we can do at the laboratory, or that we normally do for fingerprints at the laboratory, including super glue, dust, the Ruva system that I mentioned, the ALS, the fluorescent dyes that I mentioned as well. The rim, especially the body itself, no, it looks like I did everything on even the body itself as well.
Okay. And what were you able to determine, or what were you able to find as far as the prints were concerned?
On the sticker, I found a palm print, and up underneath the rim, which is the reason why I removed the rim, I found the very far tip of a fingerprint. And when I mean a far tip of the fingerprint, I'm talking about the areas up here at the very tip top of your print, right as it goes into the nail.
Okay. Talk about the palm print that you found for a second.
The palm print that I found was very small. In fact, it was probably about my size of my palm. The whole palm would have fit in about that much of the palm print. So I'm confident that it's probably a child's print. Some people do have smaller hands, and so I couldn't totally discount comparing it to some other people. But it was a very small print.
Certainly didn't. Would you say it was not the size of a normal man's hand?
Objection to leave. Sustained.
I'm sorry. Okay. Oh. You've already stated what you thought as far as that size was concerned. And so you excluded Megan Boswell as being the contributor.
I did compare it to Megan Boswell, and I was able to exclude it from her.
Okay. And you mentioned the fingerprint. And again, where did you locate that?
Up underneath the rim, I believe was on the right side.
All right. And were you able to make any conclusions as far as that fingerprint was concerned?
I was.
And what did you conclude as far as that was concerned?
Well, eventually I was.
Okay. But, well, on the date that your initial examination was done, the report was issued on April the 2nd of 2020.
That was inconclusive to her because, in general, when you do a fingerprint card, if you look at the finger when you touch it, if you're doing a fingerprint card and you're rolling the person's finger, this part of the finger does not touch. So you don't really get a good recording of that tip area. That happens actually quite often.
All right. Agent Hoover, I'm going to hand you a document and ask you if you recognize that.
Thank you. Yes, I do.
And what is that?
It appears to be a copy of my report from April 2nd of 2020.
And is that a true and accurate copy of your report?
We're hitting the pause button on this testimony from the fingerprint examiner. Let's bring back in criminal defense attorney Lara Uretzian. Lara, it's day 6 there in Tennessee. This jury is sequestered. If you're handling a case like this, is there anything different that you do when you know your jury is sequestered?
I mean, look, you want to keep it tight because you don't want the jury to get frustrated and tired of being away from their family. It's not easy to be sequestered, but this is our justice system, and you do what you have to do. But again, you want to keep it tight and also keep them engaged. It's a murder trial. It's a very interesting trial. And it sounds like they're pretty busy listening to very important evidence at this point.
Yeah, it's really coming across, even in what sometimes can be mundane evidence, but it does seem very compelling. Like it really is telling the story that the state has, that Megan Boswell is the one who was responsible. Her fingerprints are on this trash can. It's her trash can, ideally from the trailer where she lived with baby Evelyn. Should she take the stand? Based on what you've seen so far, as a criminal defense attorney, would you be having that talk with her at this point?
I would definitely have the talk with her, and at the end of the day, between the attorney and the defendant, that decision has to be made. And it's a tough call on this one. It's first and foremost, she has the right to insist to take the witness stand or say, I'm not going to take the witness stand. So she has the last word. But it would have to be done in a pretty serious conversation between the defense team and the defendant, and to see if she's going to, number one, come across as credible. Does she have the story, the right story? And it has to be the truth, obviously, and how well she's going to be doing on direct and later on cross, which is the more important part, because most people do well on direct. And is she going to crumble? Is she going to lie again? So
Right,
it's a big decision.
It is. We will see what happens. Lara Uretzian, thanks so much. More of the baby Evelyn murder trial after this. Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julia Janae. Thank you so much for following along with us this afternoon as we track several major trials here on Court TV. Let's take a look. In Tennessee, it's day 5 of testimony underway in the baby Evelyn murder trial. Defendant Megan Boswell is accused of killing her toddler daughter, dumping her body in a trash can, and then lying to police for weeks. We'll get you back in that courtroom in a moment. And in California, the state's case continues in the celebrity stylist murder trial. Monica Cementilli is accused of conspiring with her lover to kill her husband for the insurance money. And in South Carolina, it's day 1 of testimony in our newest live trial, the Rose Petal murder trial for professional pianist Zachary Hughes. He's accused of killing his friend's ex-girlfriend and then spreading rose petals around the crime scene. We are going to keep you updated on all of these trials throughout the day. For now, let's head back to Tennessee for the baby Evelyn murder trial, where the jury is hearing from a forensic scientist talking about fingerprints and the trash can where the baby's body was located.
Yes, sir.
Judge, I move to make that exhibit 253.
Full exhibit 253.
Agent Hoover, you mentioned that you did not have good rolled prints of Megan Boswell. Is that correct?
I would say I did not have complete prints,
Okay.
at least in that tip area. Sorry.
Did you then attempt to, or speak with law enforcement in an attempt to get better prints of Miss Boswell done?
I did.
Okay. And did they comply with your request? Did you receive additional prints from them?
I did. They complied.
Okay. And were you able to do any additional comparisons based upon that next set of prints that they sent you?
Unfortunately, I was not able to.
Okay. And why was that?
The prints that I was sent still were not of a good enough quality to actually compare to.
And did you, Agent Hoover, did you prepare a finding in that regards?
I did.
Report? I'm going to hand you a document and ask you if you recognize that.
Yes, sir, I do.
And what is it?
That is a copy of my report from July the 31st of 2020.
All right. Reflecting that again, you still were not able to perform any.
My result was inconclusive again.
Okay. And is that a true and accurate copy?
It appears to be, yes.
Judge, I move to make that Exhibit 254.
No, sir. 254, forgery.
And so, Agent Hoover, did you then again speak with law enforcement?
Yes, it did.
And what was the nature of your conversation at that point?
That I still needed better prints, especially those around the tip area.
All right. And did they try yet again to get you a good copy of prints from Miss Boswell?
Yes, they did.
All right. Did they use a different technique this time?
Slightly different.
Okay. If you would tell the jury what type of technique they used.
They tried to use what is called hinge lifters. These are a product that some forensic warehouses produce, and it essentially is a small plastic, can be a square, can be a rectangle piece with tape over it, so that what happens is when you lift the tape, you're able to then lift it or put the tape over the print and then lift it, and it has its own backing already. And they attempted to do that and use, again, the same type of material to try to lift that print or to try to lift that area of her finger and send it to me.
All right. And any success this time on being able to do a comparison?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay. And did you, again, prepare a report to reflect that you were unsuccessful?
I did.
I'm going to hand you another document and ask you if you can identify that.
Thank you. Yes, I do.
And what is it?
It is a copy of a report from February the 8th of 2021.
And is that the report that reflects your latest attempt to make some sort of identification?
Yes, it does.
Is that a true and accurate copy?
It appears to be.
Judge, I move to make that exhibit number 255.
Object, full exhibit.
Agent Hoover, at that point, what did you speak with law enforcement about what needed to be done further?
I did.
Okay, and if you would kind of tell us how that conversation went.
I finally volunteered to come to Bluntville and fingerprint Miss Boswell myself.
And did you in fact do that?
I did.
All right. Were these prints that you obtained clear enough that you could make some sort of analysis or identification?
Yes, they were.
All right. And did you, in fact, make findings in that regard?
Yes, I did.
And what were those?
I was able to identify the fingerprint from the underneath the rim of the trash can to Megan Boswell's number 2 or right index finger.
Okay. And so that was, again, you found that underneath the rim of the trash can?
That's correct.
Is that correct? Mm-hmm. All right. And did you prepare a report of your findings in that regard?
I did.
I'm going to hand you another document and ask you if you can identify it.
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
It appears to be a copy of my report dated July the 8th of 2021.
Is that a true and accurate copy of your report?
Appears to be.
Judge, that would move to make that exhibit 256.
Okay. Exhibit 256.
Agent Hoover, I'm going to ask that you be handed exhibits 201 and 203.
Put everything back in that bag.
Yes, you can. Thank you.
Do you recognize those items?
I do.
And how is it that you recognize them?
Again, I have our laboratory number, exhibit number, and my initials on the bag, as well as on the box itself.
Okay. And these items, were they the foil sheeting that you were requested to develop latent prints from?
Yes.
Okay. And did you, in fact, perform an examination on those items?
I did.
Okay. What was your findings initially?
My initial findings
Yes.
from the May the 10th,
Yes,
21
sir.
report,
Yes, sir.
that I did not find any fingerprints of identifiable value on the foil.
Talk about the challenges of trying to develop prints off of that foil.
That foil was very wrinkled, for one thing, which is also very detrimental to fingerprint reproduction. The ridges of the wrinkling will break up the fingerprint. Secondly, there was either trash or decomposition that was all over much of the foil. All of that would also affect the ability for the fingerprints to remain or to develop on the foil itself.
All right. And did you prepare a report of your initial findings
I
in
did.
regards to foil? I'm going to hand you a document and ask if you can identify it.
Yes, I recognize it.
And what is it?
It appears to be a copy of my report dated May the 10th of 2021.
All right. Is that a true and accurate copy of your report?
Appears to be, yes.
Judge, I'd move to make that exhibit number 257.
Yep. Treasurer. Full exhibit 257.
Agent Hoover, in regards to the foil, were you later contacted by scientists within the lab about performing additional testing on the foil?
Yes, it was.
And did you, in fact, receive that foil back in the lab?
Yes, it originally went back to the Knoxville laboratory, and then it came back to us in the Nashville laboratory.
Okay. And do you remember why that was?
Yes, part of the original packaging was a large box, and then inside that box was these other pieces as well. And this box had markings on it that looked like it was only for forensic biology. And so I ignored that box and focused on the other pieces of aluminum foil because that's what I was understanding was to be working, to be processing. That was the actual piece of evidence. I did not know that the forensic biologist had separated one piece out because she actually saw ridge detail that would be considered fingerprints. And so she actually separated that piece out and sent it separate so that nothing got destroyed or damaged. And it was my mistake that I did not recognize that that box was actually also part of the full exhibit.
Okay. And when you say the box, you're talking, it's actually in a separate, it's exhibit 203, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And so you had not performed testing on that piece initially?
No, I did not.
Okay. After it was received back in the lab by you, did you perform testing on it?
Yes, it did.
And were you able to develop any sort of latent print profiles as a result?
I developed a couple of prints on it. One print was not identifiable, meaning it did not have enough clarity or detail to be able to use to identify to an individual. One print was identifiable, and that print I identified. You're right.
Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
My findings on that one was that it did identify to Megan Boswell's left middle finger.